Hi everybody, this is Bastiaan, and today we're going to take a look at my pet line against the Sicilian. So I developed this system recently, about half a year ago, but I've had great success with it in practical play. And the reason why is because a lot of moves are actually out of book, and typically black has no idea how to play against it. So the game starts out with e4, c5, the Sicilian, then e5, and amazingly at move 2 you're already out of book. We can see that the e5 move is quite annoying for black because he cannot develop his pawn to e5, he cannot develop his knight to f6, and actually he cannot shadow properly, because if he plays pawn to g6 and bishop to g7, white's next move will be pawn to f4, and we can see that the bishop on g7 is actually useless because he gets blocked by the fortified pawn island. Black will typically play knight to c6, the best move. Now pawn to f4, so you're seeing a pawn island. And now black has three main ways to continue play. He can either play d6 to attack the pawn island from the left. He can play g5 to attack the pawn island from the right. Or he can even play pawn to d5, bypassing the pawn island, creating a pawn island of his own. And of those three variations, this is the only book move, and we have arrived at a position that is called the Tal Gambit declined of the Sicilian Grand Prix. Now, all three variations have a specific playing style, so I'm going to cover all three. I wasn't planning on going to cover the Tal Gambit declined, but for the sake of completion I'm going to annotate the game. So normally we arrive at this position if white plays f4, the Sicilian Grand Prix, pawn to d5, then e5, declining the Tal Gambit, and now typically knight to c6. But when we arrive with my system at this position, we can see that there's a small difference. And that is that white has the possibility to take the pawn en passant. And I don't suggest you do, but this may discourage black from playing d5 at this point. But if d5 is played, I will allow the Tal Gambit decline to remain on the board. And typically I continue with pawn to c4 in this position, undermining black's pawn island. There are other moves, of course. White can develop either knight, so it's a question of playing style. This is simply how I handle the Tal Gambit declined. c4. Now, black played d4 in this game. Maybe the best continuation. Also possible is to exchange. Now knight to f3, d3. So we can see that black likes tactics. Pawn to d3 allows knight to c3, but black has a specific goal in advancing the pawn. Knight to c3, bishop to g4, a predictable move, pinning the knight. h3, trying to kick the bishop. And now knight to b4. So we can see that the goal of the pawn advance was to allow a fork and gain a free rook. So I take the bishop, knight to c2 check, king to f2, and black takes the rook. So this looks bad for white because he has doubled his pawns. He's no longer able to castle, his king is in the open, and he has lost an exchange. However, white gets some nice counterplay. with queen to a4 check. So it's good for white to play that move immediately, but e6 was played instead. Now this of course prevents black from playing queen to d7, blocking the check. So in a way black has underestimated the power of this advanced pawn. Black recaptures, and we can see that his bishop and king and his pawn on e7 are being locked in. The downside is that black does get an escape square with king to f7 against the check, but he can't use it, and I'll show you why. So if queen to a4 check is played now, and black tries to escape, he walks into a forced mate with knight to e5 check. King to f6 is forced, knight to e4 is mate. So it's easy enough to see why black can't use the escape square. Instead, queen to d7 is forced. And now knight to b5. So I'm not willing to exchange queens, but the point of course is a fork between king and rook. So if a random move is played, say a6, knight to c7 check, of course knight cannot be recaptured because of the discovered check. King to d8, queen takes queen check, king takes queen, and rook takes knight. Now the problem black has in this situation is that if say he plays king to d5, I can play knight to e5, gaining the rook. So we can see that this is possible because of the advanced pawn that was sacrificed on e6. If he plays, say, knight to f6 to give escape for the rook, I can still play knight to e5 check, king e8, knight to c7 check, king to d8, knight takes pawn check, king to e8, again covering against the attack on the rook. Now bishop takes pawn, and if say a random move is played like a5, the point now is rook takes pawn, and the rook cannot be recaptured, because if say knight takes rook, bishop to g6 is made, rook recaptures, same problem, bishop to g6 mate. You can see that black is in a terrible position. So a random move like a5 can't be played. Is say rook to g8, pawn to g5 attacking the knight, knight to d7, and bishop takes pawn attacking the rook. Rook h8, again bishop to g6 is mate. So black's position is falling apart easily. So let's get back to the game. Random move like a6 wasn't played, king to d8 was played, of course, to cover against the check and against the fork, cover the c7 square. Knight to e5 attacking the queen, queen to e8, queen a5 check, b6, queen a6, so the queen is infiltrating behind enemy ranks. Knight to f6, queen to b7, rook to c8, knight takes a7 threatening the rook. Now, if say rook to a8, we get queen takes pawn mate. I'm of course threatening queen takes rook. If queen to c6, we get knight takes queen, check, rook takes, knight takes rook, check, king e8, queen c8, check, king f7, knight e5, check, king g8. So it looks like the king has found some safety, but queen takes pawn is made is the longest continuation, and the move that was played was h6, leading to queen takes rook, checkmate. So black didn't bother to escape because basically the position is lost, and black lost at move 18. So this was the first variation, playing against the Tal Gambit declined, the only book move. The next two videos I will show you how to really work with the system if black tries to undermine the pawn island, and what playing style you have to use. So thanks for watching, keep an eye out for the second and third video, and have a great evening.